These Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have destroyed Minnesota.
Tonight, President Trump increases his attacks on Somali immigrants in Minnesota. This follows discoveries of fraud that mostly benefited parts of the state's Somali community. 4:51 a.m., St. Louis Park, Minnesota. The city lay quiet and still. Homes were frozen under a layer of winter ice. Not a single light shone from the windows. For the 50,000 residents sleeping inside, it was just another calm morning in a safe, well-run suburb. But nearby, inside a federal command center, a massive digital map glowed red. Key locations were highlighted across the city grid. The threat was real. For months, FBI and DEA agents had been tracking something they couldn't explain. Crime linked to an underground network inside the Somali community was spiking everywhere. Reports kept coming in from hospitals, police stations, and social service offices. When analysts combined the data, the numbers weren't just statistics, they were warnings. Drug overdose deaths had risen by 328%. Armed violence increased 257%. Human trafficking rings had doubled in size, and financial losses were enormous. Investigators found that $2.3 billion in welfare funds had been siphoned through community charities. Authorities now feared the real total could be close to $7 billion. Criminals from Somalia had entered the US using fake IDs. Loopholes allowed them easy access. They collected benefits and lived comfortably while money was quietly sent overseas. This wasn't isolated fraud. This was a network working inside the American system. Agents watched silently as the data on the wall converged on a single name: Asha Mohammed Nure, 44, the mayor of St. Louis Park. Initially, this investigation started with 8 local mayors in the Brainerd Lakes area worried about policies from the capital affecting their tourism industry. Mayor Nure was considered a model of integration and strong leadership. Her office was constantly in the media. She stood with police leaders promising tough action against crime. Her public approval rating was over 68%. But if intelligence was correct, she wasn't protecting America. She was exploiting it. If you support the FBI and ICE agents risking their lives to bring down corrupt officials, hit the like button and comment "Go FBI" to show your support. Behind closed doors, Mayor Nure was building a parallel system. By the end of 2023, she had created a structure that mirrored the city's legal system, but reported only to her. Using executive power, she approved directives bypassing oversight. This led to 29 shell companies registered as logistics, sanitation, and consulting firms. None had real employees. Through these companies, 1,150 people with criminal records were quietly placed into the community using fake documents. These people weren't integrating, they were being deployed. Between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., investigators recorded 192 vehicle departures from targeted neighborhoods each night. No license plates, no stops. Street cameras went dark for exactly 11 minutes each time. At the center of it all was a shocking deal. Mayor Nure had allied with CJNG, one of the most violent cartels in the Western Hemisphere. The deal was simple: protection in exchange for profit. Over 24 months, the network moved 4.4 tons of fentanyl and heroin with a black market value over $440 million. All of this was timed for a late winter surge. Silence was bought, oversight disabled. This wasn't about immigration, it was infiltration. A hostile network was operating inside the system faster than federal agents could track. At 5:57 a.m., the Minnesota Federal Command Center went into action.
We believe at least 2 of these drug dealers were playing Russian roulette with people's lives, pushing pills that were disguised as the prescription painkiller oxycodone.
Agents believed at least 2 drug dealers were endangering lives, pushing pills disguised as prescription oxycodone. Surveillance ended, enforcement began. In a coordinated strike, 1,175 federal agents were mobilized. The FBI, DEA, and Homeland Security units moved together. Roads were blocked. Armored convoys advanced from staging points near Interstate 92. Helicopters lifted off from rooftops, rotors cutting through the winter sky. Operational data poured in. 26 locations were marked as high-risk warehouses, apartments, and hidden offices. Live intelligence identified 129 armed offenders already in place. At 5:59 a.m., cameras caught someone leaving Mayor Nure's building carrying a secure data device. In the lead command vehicle, radios crackled. Unmarked trucks started rolling. The operation didn't happen in a single strike. It exploded as a coordinated collapse. Between 6:01 a.m. and 6:15 a.m., the network was hit at 41 locations across 5 states. In Wisconsin, the first breach set the tone. Within minutes, agents neutralized Abdi Rahman, a veteran enforcer coordinating night convoys. He tried to wipe data while firing from a stairwell but was taken down. Nevada units reported contact at the attack front. Hassan Ledger Me, the cartel's main money handler, tried to escape with encrypted ledgers but was caught after a short-foot chase. Agents seized $4.2 million in cash and 19 burner phones. Violence escalated in northern Minnesota. At a rural compound outside Baiji, federal teams faced fortified resistance. 3 armed men fired from elevated positions. After a 7-minute battle, the perimeter was breached. Inside, 512 pounds of synthetic drugs and 5 pill presses were found, enough to produce over 11 million doses. Fentanyl is deadly even in small amounts. But what is it? How is it made? How is it tracked as it moves into communities? Analysts confirm the drugs were scheduled for distribution to 14 cities within 10 days. If you want to see more networks exposed, hit subscribe. On the interstate, interdiction teams set traps. At 6:09 a.m., armored SUVs boxed in a transport near Iowa. The driver tried to escape but was stopped. Inside were 118 unregistered guns and encrypted radios set to law enforcement channels. By 6:12 a.m., command data showed the scale of the collapse. 1,380 suspects detained nationwide, 4.4 tons of narcotics seized, $46.8 million frozen. The final blow came quietly at 6:15 a.m. when Amina Sullivan, Mayor Nure's top administrative aide, was caught trying to leave with a hard drive containing approval records. Her arrest linked the entire network directly to the mayor's office. After the gunfire ended, the truth was clear. This wasn't luck dismantling a street gang, it was a hostile network taken down by force. In 14 minutes, it was gone. By 8:12 a.m., Washington, D.C. knew the scale. Overnight briefings became emergency sessions. This was no longer local, it was a national security crisis. Within 6 hours, federal auditors suspended funding to 312 nonprofits linked to the Minnesota network. By noon, the number grew to 470. On paper, they served the public. In reality, $2.3 billion was misused, with potential exposure approaching $7 billion, one of the largest domestic financial abuses in U.S. history. More worrying, the pattern was repeating. By early afternoon, 17 other cities showed the same warning signs as Street Lewis Park. The DEA shared images of fentanyl hidden in toys or gas tanks. Minnesota wasn't the origin, it was proof of concept. At 6:41 p.m., recovered server metadata revealed threats across multiple states and timelines. The problem was now internal. At 7:30 a.m. the next day, the Attorney General set up a federal integrity task force to neutralize internal enablers regardless of rank. Within 72 hours, analysts matched approval signatures. 29 public officials have been bribed to delay audits or reroute inspections. 46 flagged for negligence. The first arrest was a former federal prosecutor praised for integrity, now in custody. He had blocked grand jury subpoenas, allowing nearly $600 million to vanish overseas. Treasury teams froze $9.6 billion in assets domestically and internationally. Shell companies collapsed overnight. The cash flow sustaining the network stopped. The investigation revealed a chilling fact. The network feared attention, not law enforcement. The internal purge was quiet. No press conferences, just files opened, doors closed, careers ended. The message was clear. For the first time in years, the system looked inward. The Minnesota operation dismantled a network but exposed a vulnerability that handcuffs alone couldn't fix.
Tell us about these latest ICE operations and why the administration chose to send agents to the Twin Cities to focus on the Somali community.
It survived because 1,800 routine administrative actions went unchecked over 5 years. The human cost was enormous. Health agencies confirmed fentanyl distribution from this network caused over 6,400 overdose deaths across multiple states. Families lost loved ones. Communities were devastated. This was never about one city. It was about unchecked authority. Systems meant for trust being exploited. A retired agent summarized, democracy fails quietly when no one is watching. Streets of Street Lewis Park are quiet again, but awareness has returned. Freedom isn't preserved by promises, but by oversight. Vigilance is back, and the responsibility lies with everyone who chooses not to look away. If you think corrupt officials who betray their communities should face maximum penalty, comment justice below. Stay alert.